What are you cooking today, Miss Martha? Well, it's not quite Thanksgiving, but I've done my shopping and I've got things organized, and then I'll put them away in the refrigerator until it's time to make them Thursday morning. Sometimes you get overwhelmed and you feel like you got to cook for 3 days when you're hosting a lot of people, but my family's a lot smaller these days. My parents, my sibling has passed away. My husband's parents, they've passed away. His siblings, well, they're off in other states, or they've got children that are married with grandchildren, and they've got grandchildren, they're off. So it's just my husband, my son, and myself. So I don't need to bake 6 different kinds of pies because there's no way we're going to eat all of that. So this is what my first tip for you for hosting Thanksgiving or doing your own Thanksgiving is full pans. You can put it out on pretty platters when you're going to serve to company if you've got guests coming over, but this makes cleanup a lot easier. Go ahead and invest a couple pennies in the aluminum foil pan for your baking. Well, the first thing you're going to have to do, because we have a small gathering, I'm not going to get a big 20-pound frozen turkey that I got to thaw out for a week. I've got a fresh turkey breast. That will be the first thing that will go in the oven. We'll take him out of here, make sure he doesn't have any giblets or giblets in it, clean him all up. Cover him with olive oil, a little salt, a little pepper, a little garlic, and the classic herbs, sage, thyme, and basil. He'll go into a roaster pan that I have a lid on that foil, that aluminum pan, steel pan, and it'll go and he'll roast in the oven based upon his weight. It's usually going to take about 2 hours. Now, we like to eat early. We like to have lunch as our Thanksgiving meal, so we usually plan around 12:30 to 1 o'clock. So that means at 11 o'clock, my bird's got to go in the oven. The next thing, while I've got him and he's in the oven, is I'm going to fix the dressing in a skillet on top of the stove. I'll put a little butter in it, and I will brown off chopped celery, chopped bell peppers, and onions. Once those have become translucent, I'll take them off the stove, let those cool down a little bit, and I will add some water to them and 3 tablespoons of the bouillon to give it a little chicken flavor. And I'm trying to keep my eggs from blowing off the counter. In another bowl, I'll have 1 cup buttermilk, my 3 eggs, and another stick of melted butter. That will be combined in with the celery and the onion mixture. I will sift out white cornmeal. I'll have 2 cups white cornmeal. I will boil 2 cups of water on the stove. I will add that to the cornmeal, and that's going to be the base for my dressing. I'm not going to do stuffing like some people will do, which is the stovetop stuffing. Most people do that, I guess. You've got some stale bread. You're going to take about 8 slices, peel the crust off of it, chop that into little giblets, little cubes. You're going to add that into your egg mixture, your milk and your egg mixture, and then you're going to combine everything together. It's kind of like the spoon bread recipe I've shared before. So your cornmeal, your vegetables, and your bread, eggs, milk, that all goes together, and that going to go in one of these foil pans. That's going to take about an hour to bake, so that doesn't go in the oven yet. But we've got that prepared. Let's move that out the way. For the turkey, to help make a little gravy with it, once it's been in the oven for about 10 minutes or so, it's starting to brown a little bit, even though it's in the pan, I'm going to add the contents of the broth mixture with 3 tablespoons. I like to use beef bouillon when I'm cooking turkey instead of chicken bouillon. And that's going to go around it in the pan so it has water in it. That'll help make the steam, and that will help the turkey base, and that will be my gravy base. We're going to use like au jus gravy. We're not going to add all kinds of cornstarch and make it a thick gravy to go on cream potatoes, because we're not going to make mashed potatoes and stuff like that anymore, because there's too many calories for older people like us to eat. But we are going to still do some of the classics now. My favorite sides we're going to get to in a minute are things that, some of them are ones I've been making since 1960s, and some of them are ones I've made since 2016. When my husband was getting ready to have a little heart attack, then was starting to have chest pains and stuff like that, because he found out he had high cholesterol. It's not because of what I fed him during our marriage, it's because he smoked in his 20s. And they tell you that if you smoke for more than 5 years total, no matter whether you did 1 year here, 1 year there, 1 year there, if you smoke for more than 5 years in your life, you're at risk for a heart attack. That's where his came from. Now, knock on wood, he's okay. He had bypass surgery. He's been fine since then. I try to make sure he eats right as healthy as possible. So instead of using butter, we try to use margarine in our recipes. Now, we're going to use the old classic standby 1960 string bean casserole, which is canned green beans. Dump those out, put those in one of these foil pans, dump out your soup, cream of mushroom soup. Some people use cream of celery, cream of chicken, but it's cream of mushroom soup. And on top of that, the little French fried onions. That's it. 3 ingredients. That out the way. That's old school string beans. More classic string beans are fresh string beans, 1 stick of 0 trans fat margarine, and a little bit of water, a little salt, pepper. I'm gonna let that boil on top of the stove. No ham hocks like the olden days, because that's cholesterol, that's fat you don't need. So we've got string beans 2 ways. Now let's do our sweet potato 2 ways. Old school favorite, Bruce canned yams. They're already soft, so it's not gonna take like 9 hours to cook them, but we'll dump those in one of your foil pans. You're gonna melt some butter. It's gonna go on top of them. You're gonna take 1 cup of brown sugar, sprinkle that on top of them. Gonna come in with the allspice. Gonna 1 teaspoon. Scatter it on top of them, and they'll say hold these back. Because now they'll go in the oven later. Not yet, but put that aside. Hold on to the mushroom. Marshmallows. Wow, my mind is just, I'm 10 steps ahead of where I'm talking here because I'm already thinking about the next dish. Okay, so we've got turkey's already in the oven at 11 o'clock. That's gonna bake for 1 hour. And at noon, we're going to add in the dressing. We're going to add in the string bean casserole. And on the stove, we're going to start boiling the string beans, the fresh string beans on top of the stove. So 1 hour the turkey cooks, and the next hour, the turkey's still cooking, but you're going to start the stages of putting the next things in. Right before you get ready to eat, the last 10 minutes before it's time to serve, around 12:30, you're going to put the marshmallows on top of your candied yams. But you don't put them in the last time because they'll just melt away and burn off. So they're going to go in the last, like a little golden layer on top. In the meantime, when you're putting everything else in the oven, these got to go in the oven too. You're going to take your real fresh sweet potato, poke holes in it with a fork. You're going to put them in the microwave and let them cook 15 minutes first. Then you're going to pull them out of the microwave. You're going to cover them with aluminum foil, and they're going to go in the oven as well because they're going to have to bake about an hour. And they're going to get nice and soft and fluffy on the inside. So when you're pulling everything else out of the oven to serve, you'll slice the top open of them, peel the peeling back just a little bit, cut it up a little bit with a knife and fork, but let it stay within the potato. Add melted butter on top of it, or just it's gonna melt because it's hot. You can put some butter on it, and you're gonna put a little bit of stevia instead of real sugar, and you're gonna put some of your allspice on it, and that's gonna taste just as good as if it was candied yams that you got baking in the oven. So that's your yams 2 ways. Where are your sweets, Miss Martha? Well, candied yams, that used to be my favorite thing. I get 3rd-degree burns on top of my mouth trying to go in there and sneak me out some of the little yams out the oven, but this is a classic at my house. You're going to boil 4 cups of water on top of the stove. You're going to put your Jell-O, 2 of the large packs of lime Jell-O in a big bowl. You're going to pour your water into it and melt your Jell-O. Once your Jell-O has dissolved in it, you're going to add 2 packs of the cream cheese. I bought the reduced fat cream cheese while it's still hot because the hot water, that'll help dissolve that. Then you got to get your casserole dish. You can pour it over into your casserole dish, your 9 by 13 Pyrex, and you're going to drain 1 can of crushed pineapple, add that to it. Then you're going to add in 1 bag of chopped pecans and a half a bag of marshmallows. That's going to go in the refrigerator, and that's going to set up. So that's going to take that about an hour or so to set up in the refrigerator. So everything's ready at this point, okay? We've got everything in the oven, everything's cooking. You can sit down and you can relax. Or wait a minute, you gotta have some kind of sweet, Miss Martha, don't you? Yes. But I'm not going to do all kinds of pies and cakes because we've just done German chocolate cake. We've just done spice cake with caramel ice, and we've got all kinds. We've just done coconut pies around here and showing you all the kind of different recipes of things I like to bake. I don't remember if I've showed you my classic brownie, but this is what we're going to do for our sweet. Follow me over. We're going to do brownies. Got flour, sugar, brown sugar, baking powder, baking soda, Crisco, eggs, chocolate syrup. And this year, instead of using Hershey's cocoa, I'm going to use the Toll House cocoa. Salt, buttermilk, eggs, vanilla. I'll include the recipe in the YouTube channel. So we've got sweets. It just might not be the same sweets that you make. It's your holiday. You enjoy cooking the things that your family loves to eat. Try to make it as healthy as possible. Try to save time when you can in the kitchen. And for God's sake, ask them to come in and help you. If you've got men folk or women folk, and they're sitting on there doing their own thing, they're all on their screens doing this and doing that, tell them, get in here and help you. You shouldn't have to cook everything by yourself. You shouldn't have to clean it all up by yourself. Kind of falls that way in my house, though. Got men folk and me. Anyway, happy Thanksgiving to you. I hope things go well for you. I hope everybody is in good health and in good spirits, and you enjoy a healthy, happy, loving, delicious meal.